Well, hello, everyone.
And we're live.
Hi. Well, we're not live.
Not. No,
Yeah.
we're not.
We're like medium live. We're live to each other.
We're in
Live-
cryostasis.
Yeah.
Live to tape.
I'm just a
Yes.
hologram.
You look hologram-ish today. Are you feeling okay? It's ephemeral. You look shimmery. Yes.
It's the
Ghost-like.
glow.
We're playing the finale of Queens of Venn, our mouse guard game. We finally were able to get together. There was some weird scheduling stuff, and so here we are doing it.
I also had the plague.
You did, and
The mouse plague.
No, it was very much a real people plague.
Oh.
Mice are real people.
Mice are people too, Ben. Mice are people too. Connie's not wrong.
All right, fine.
There we go. Now I am pleased.
Yay. I'm gonna throw it over to you. You go.
All right.
We're not live.
Well,
this is so low key.
Welcome. So we are prepared to leap into the finale of the Queens of Venn, which is a mouse guard campaign that is at the end of its long journey. Our players have united their patrol into the harrowing ends of the map that the mouse guard knows as the mouse territories. It has been an arduous journey, but they have the end in sight. A very tumultuous and difficult to perfect, but it has its moments. Our patrol is in the middle of a widespread battleground. I don't know. Since this is the last episode, do we want to do introductions? A little bit of telling us where your character started at the beginning of our game and where they are now as they delve into the night in search of
I love that
the
idea.
opossum daughter.
I dig it. That'd be cool.
Let's start with the leader.
Hi, I'm Sean, also known as Throck. In this game, I play Thane, who's a patrol master. No, pack leader. Something. Fine. I just finished coffee. I am in charge. Roar.
Broom mom.
I'm Mouse Mom. I'm Mouse Mom. Hi, my name's Mouse Mom. And at the beginning, I didn't trust Thistle at all and wanted to throw Thistle into every body of water that I could find. Didn't think Thistle deserved a cloak. Didn't know the strengths or understand how to forge my team into a unit. And I think over the course of the thing, I think about how much growth is actually this was actually a real story arc for the unit, I think. And I think that was really cool how we came together really well by the end of this and are kind of working much more effectively and have a lot more trust in each other. And I think it's been really cool to watch that growth. And it's, I think, the most amount of growth I've seen out of like a unit working together in a short amount of time in a role-playing game. And I think that's super neato. Because a lot of pieces started so far apart and kind of weird. And I know, Stroud, you were just finding your feet in role-playing, and this is your first thing. And I really watched you grow into your character as well, and I thought that was super cool. And how that was reflected in the story was super neat. And Ben being the like salty old veteran and kind of being there for people to lean on.
Cough, Zed. Cough.
Cough, Zed, cough, Zed, cough. We'll edit it out in post.
You've named me twice.
No,
My
we won't.
students might find this, and then they'll know.
We're not going to edit this out in post. Won't they know by seeing your face?
Shut up.
Won't they know by seeing this here? Is that not a thing? Okay.
No, I teach in a mask.
Okay, so you're like a lucha. You're like a you're a lucha teacher. But this is a long way to say. I think the big thing for Thane was learning to rely on other people, learning how to forge a unit together, and then learning how to be okay with wild differences that have their own strengths.
True. delegation is a difficult prospect for those unused to the role of leader, but the patrol has forged ahead as Venn has become a focal point of your challenges for this season. Uh, I'm actually curious, Zed. Let's go to your character because we did have a little tease about uh, Finn being a veteran of the Winter War and quite a established mouse guard.
So
Go ahead. Give us the lowdown.
So Finn, this is more sort of the sort of that one last ride for a guard mouse who is headed towards retirement. Frankly, trying to spend some time helping to make sure that the next generation of guards mice are up to the task. And frankly, looking to see some of the traumas of his own past finally take a rest. The prejudice against certain verminous weasels has been somewhat eroded. He's come to gain a sort of begrudging respect for those who may have fought on the other side, recognizing that he probably has more in common with rank and file weasels across the line than he does with captains or generals on either side. But in large, like for the most part, his story is not his own. His story is making sure other people's stories get off to the right start. So specifically with Thistle and also with Thistle's friend and a few others along the way, Finn's sort of reason for being is not so much to further his own goals. He's done all that. His purpose is really to make sure that other people are able to do what they need to do.
Yes, and we're super grateful for everything you've done, Mr. Finn. Gosh darn. Are you ready for me to turn up and save the day? All because of your influence.
Yay!
Yay! No, Vaden did not make the journey, I promise. So, speaking of gosh, we've just had a lot of Thistle talk. So let's hear from Thistle.
Hello, I'm Connie. Oh yeah, and I'm playing Thistle Bristle. Thistle Bristle is a tender paw. He's come from a family of workers and knows all about working hard. And when we first met Thistle Bristle, they trusted no one. They were a tired person acting like a grumpy old man, even though they are only in their teens. And they thought they knew everyone was wrong and they were the best. Little did they know that as they worked with their team and came to become friends with Vaden, the very excitable and forthright little mouse, and Rosaria, the queen, who didn't quite know how to handle her responsibilities in Venn, that perhaps their teammates had something going with this whole camaraderie thing. And now Thistlebristle has realized that the mouse god thrives on diversity, that the differences in thoughts lead us to success. So they're trying to be helpful instead of judgmental. And it's going pretty good.
If I may sort of piggyback a little, there are a number of ways in which this has been sort of the kind of Star Trek roleplay that I've always wanted.
Oh, I'm so proud.
Does that make sense? Like,
Oh, it's like the Star Trek never really has like a central like season that is like maybe it would have like a series of episodes that encompass like this is a good two-parter if we
Right.
smashed it all
Deep
together.
Space Nine. Deep Space Nine. Deep
Fair.
Space Nine is
yeah, Thistle Bristle
Sorry,
is
otherwise, yes.
Wesley Crusher or Nog.
oh my god, so he's Nog.
I forgot that. I completely forgot about Deep Space Nine because that's the one I never hooked onto because I kept forgetting it exists. I need to get into that.
It's the best one.
I'm glad to hear that.
I'm not going to get into that because then
Oh,
we'll be here for
boy.
45 minutes. But I just anyway.
Been a long time. Nero.
Me?
Yeah. Do you want to? Because I think out of everyone who has had influences over the course of the campaign, yours has probably been a little bit. I feel like it's been a little bit of like your Q from James Bond and the mastermind in various other roles. And it all started because you saw Insectress for some of it.
It's true.
Yeah.
My little bio major in my head just started ringing off. But I'm Neuro, by the way. I also play Stroud, and it has been an interesting, to say the least, a wonderful journey. This was my very first, and I say legitimate in the sense that like I've done like random little tiny one shots, but I think this is like the first actual campaign that I have done, and it has been an intense journey to not only see everyone here kind of like play the character, but I also learned a lot from just in general how how the pieces and components of a well-structured story and RPG elements come into play. I don't think I give it enough credit, even just like from a viewer perspective, but now playing it, it's one other thing. I have seen different play styles, different narrative, like kind of different narrative components as well. How, 4 will kind of throw a wrench into the story and us scrambling to figure out what the hell to do next. And it's lots of fun. I don't think I've ever have experienced that in like any sort of game like this. So I'll say that from a personal like experience, it's been I did grow a lot as a gamer in that aspect. Stroud, when we first met him, he started off as the very, I guess, like he pretty much had to stick up his ass. Let's just say it this much. He just had to stick up his ass. Scientist, like wouldn't budge from anything. But I think like eventually as the story grew and as like as he saw the world, because he was a very fresh guard mouse, he started seeing the outside world. He started realizing that he needed to be a lot more flexible in this case. And I think that a lot of the story elements, and also kind of a little bit of reflection on myself, is that I kind of like eased up a little bit on his character and also kind of eased up on just like how we approached problem sets, right? Like something as simple as me chopping off an ant's head and spreading his guts all over the door, or just random things like that. I would never.
Yeah, random things like that.
just random little things like that. It's just amazing. It's just kind of like cool from that perspective. So I guess like right now, in terms of the culmination of the story, like I'm kind of willing to see like did he truly learn everything, and will he finally find his lover Gauss?
Aww.
I have been waiting to confirm. Is Gauss Gate real?
It's totally real. We're shipping. I'm officially shipping those two. So
good. Oh my God, his poor heart. Oh, you left him behind. I'm so
I know.
Sorry. Okay. Last we left off, the patrol had basically snuck into enemy lines. Venn has become a battleground of different sides, different uh, dangers, particularly of the ants, that are currently controlled by the daughter of Krotik, the opossum. Oh gosh, where are my daughters? There they are.
Maravon.
Sidwell.
Sidwell, damn it!
Yeah. Maravon is the kestrel
Right.
that has been under assault by the ant horde that currently scurries along the grounds surrounding her tower. And the palace itself, you learned, is essentially under siege from opposing forces. You formulated a plan to firstly help Maravon so that she did not, die. Thankfully, Strad was there to ensure that a healer check was. I had plans in case that failed, but nope, you succeeded. And then our plan was thus, and please fill in any bits and pieces if you feel like I missed something, since it has been a while. Our patrol needs to remove the threat of the ants from making any further incursions. Therefore, they will seek out Sidwell's operation, or Sidwell herself, and destroy the chemical that is currently allowing her to control the ants' movements. Then, with that threat gone, they can visit the turtle, the snapping turtle, Rivenon, who dwells within the depths of the island's archives. And she was keeping herself away from this conflict, particularly because it didn't interest her, but also because the ants, if they turned violent towards her and her little enclave, much damage would be done. So, with the ants and Sidwell disposed of, you would be able to make a ploy with her to try to get her to attack the palace itself, to bring down the gates with her massive bulk, to allow the forces assailing the zealot daughter, the squirrel Morvanus, and essentially turn the palace into a very confusing battle rather than the siege as it currently stands. With the daughters united, at least Maravon and Morvanez and Azilis, who is the weasel that is uniting many of the military forces of Venn against the squirrel and Krotik's loyalists, you'd be able to fly with Maravon in order to essentially sneak in and do away with Snake's head. And with that, you would establish order. You would at least stabilize the region enough to ensure that the queen can return. And with luck, that means this whole debacle has been done away with. What happens next with Venn is purely up for the leaders of the coastal towns and Venn itself, as well as the Mouse Guard. You're flying on little bluebirds
Yes.
towards the drop-off area where you will begin your search for Sidwell. What happens once you land is up to you folks. And is there any part of this plan that you wish to change or elaborate on?
So, just because repeating the plan is good in its entirety, And I have
Oh, and also
a
the
cat clawing
the
into my stomach. Oh, go ahead.
it's so bad. The Sidwell also has control of the hives, by the way. So if Sidwell is not taken out, then Sidwell can always just stick the beehives onto everything around the palace.
Yep.
Yeah. So there.
So we're going after the column that is carrying the ant juice in order to sabotage it being brought in by Blue Jay. So to slow them down so that we can get past them to go on to the next bits. Yeah, okay. No, I've got it. I'm there. My brain is working.
Okay.
Sabotage.
The Blue Jays will try to find an open gap or one of the nearby trees or shrubs that they can land safely, because these just pour the cat out. Somewhere where they can land, but you guys can also sneakily get down to business. So, do we have any initial plans to sneak through, or are there any other, like, do you guys want to like stay above and like leap from tree to tree, or from here and there, in order to sort of zone in on where the barrels are? Because right now, here's your problem. You can travel along the ground and try to avoid the ant colony that is currently just sweeping like a carpet over the landscape of Venn. Or you can move along the upper reaches of, the canopy, or some other idea that you have.
I guess it's more of a question of I think we first need to figure out where the quote unquote barrels of those ant controlling pheromones are. And worst case scenario, it's surrounded by a bunch of ants, right? Like it's surrounded by a bunch of ants. So I mean, obviously I think the best route might be is just to keep above ground. But even if we do find it, I guess it's just a matter of, we might want us to stay above ground until we find it, I guess. That's probably better.
Yeah, I agree. I think probably the easiest way to do it is to be as high as we can, right? And then once we see the thing, we dive bomb. Like we come in as fast as we can and come right next to it.
Okay.
So I think we will make everybody will make a nature check or a health check in order to use their climbing abilities, and then someone will lead a scout check.
A health check. A health check. Wait, what do we need to increase our health? Because I have 3 failures and a pass. And I have a health of 3.
You need the equal of successes and -1 of the failures of the same number as your skill.
Well, shit. Never mind.
Oh. Okay, so that was the nature check, right?
That was actually, I think that was my nature check, yeah.
Okay, yeah, the obstacle, I was going to say the obstacle is going to be 2.
Oh no.
Hey! Hey! Okay, so Stroud
It's the youngins that can't hack it.
Stroud and Thistle, do you want to spend a fate point to re-roll the 6s that you rolled?
I sure do.
I sure do.
Say.
I feel like I'm gonna have to, but it's my 1 fate point, so whatever.
Aww.
All right, so what do I have to roll to swoop down and save him?
You can't. You're not the one. So Stroud is the only one that fails. And now we need a scout check. And the scout check is going to be versus the Opasa Mama.
Is
And we'll get to Stroud's failure in just a moment.
is Thane the one who's the expert scout?
It's definitely not me.
I'm okay. Yeah, no, I'm pretty expert at scout. I got 4.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Who wants to help me?
Everyone does, I'm sure.
I'm stuck on the ground. I can't help you.
Oh.
Actually, Stroud, I imagine this is how it'll play. I'm going to invoke a twist.
Twist.
Because of your failure. You're going to be able to climb along with everybody else in this scene, but you're going to notice something along with the scout check that is going to make this mission a little bit more difficult for you.
Uh-huh.
But first, I want to see the scout check and see what happens with that.
Okay, so now that I'm up on the,
you'll be able to help.
I do have 2 for scouts. I'll help out with the roll then in that case.
Okay.
I'm going to use my hunter skill to throw in here because we are dealing with ants, which are not mice.
6.
And an opossum who is at the head
That too.
of operations.
I will toss in. Let's see. I can help you with survival. Oh,
With survival
Pathfinder.
there? Oh,
I can
yeah.
help you with Pathfinder.
7.
Perfect.
And I have Pathwise 8.
Nice.
Pathwise. Bah.
What do you want from me? What do you want? It's like I built this character to do this stuff with 6 successes.
Oh my god.
I need a hero. I'm rolling off for a hero till the edge of the night.
The opossum is getting helping dice as well, and I still can't beat you. Okay, this is great. So, the paths of the ants make long little moving trails. It is almost less about the landscape than what part of the land is actually moving. It is a carpet of gnashing mandibles and other horrors that lurk along the bed of Venn's landscape. The hills and debris.
The hills are alive.
The hills
Sound and shittering
of insects.
Okay.
And you are able to sort of track down various shapes and their movements. You see that there are cloaked figures in very heavy-looking robes that are sort of covered in a layer of wax.
robes are waxed, do you mean?
It's like they've been like rubbed down with like beeswax, and they have this sort of like this glossy, like thick, heavy,
To make them
look to
impermeable.
them.
Yeah, to make them
Yeah.
impermeable. Yeah.
So you see there are several of these shapes that have what look like long trails of it at first looks like rope, and then it appears to be a little hose with a nozzle moving ahead and between the lines of the advancing ants. And you see, following the hoses, a well-concealed shape lumbering in the midst of the rear of the ants' formations. It is as expected, lump of an opossum wearing what looks like a strange mantle of natural discarded flora. And this mantle seems to have different, like, it's almost like someone built a laboratory on top of it. And there are various barrels and other like scaffolding almost sort of hanging off the sides of it as it sort of slowly creeps along. And you see that there are 3 mice on the opossum, each dutifully at work. And one of them is, as Stroud discovers, it is Goss. Apparently, unlike the other 2, he is sort of attached to a contraption. His wrists are manacled together, leading to a link of chains that are connected to what looks like a little roller wheel set onto a single rod, where a wheel just slowly pulls alongside, letting him travel along the width and length of the laboratory established on the opossum's flanks, but only so much that he can appropriately test and concoct whatever it is they are filling these barrels with, and then feeding into the hoses. There are various smaller parties of figures also wearing the heavily waxed robes, bringing supplies and other things to the opossum laboratory that is taking place in front of you.
This is why it never pays to admit that you care about another character in the game.
I fucked myself up royally on that one.
But now we're going to fuck them up. So
Right?
the possum is basically a rolling Death Star.
Yeah.
With stormtroopers that don't need to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You're gonna be
Now the barrels. Okay, so the barrels are hormones that are, or pheromones, that make them go all crazy. So I'm wondering if there isn't a way to like assault the barrels and
This is my
just
thinking.
push them off or something.
We should break them on the opossum.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
It's a matter, if that's what you're thinking, you don't know which pheromones are in which barrel. It's quite possible that different barrels coordinate different commands that, once they're activated, the ants sort of mimic and create on their own. So it's more that I would think if Stroud, you would imagine this setup is the following because of your expertise. Each barrel has a sort of command attached to it with a pheromone that can be replicated by the ensuing mass of ants. So if there was an attack option, it would have to be in one of the barrels. You could sort of just break it over the possum and completely eradicate her in one fell swoop. You just don't know which one it is.
Well, it seems to me, friends, that we should have the birds drop us in the lab so that we can take care of the other scientists and the guards and get Goss to tell us which barrel's which.
one hand, I'm totally okay with that. On the other hand, they would see us coming. And the last thing we need is for the possum to recognize that she's under attack and roll over.
Stroud, is there any way you can ascertain which barrel might have the attack pheromones in it from here?
From a distance, I'm trying to brainstorm this. I don't think we're going to be able to, unless if they're actively applying those pheromones during this process. I think it's going to be very difficult for us to actually figure it out.
So if
Imagine they would be whichever one is most heavily protected.
That's another assumption, right? But
yeah, no, I know. There's no way to verify that without getting close.
But if we could get them to spray the attack pheromones on someone,
you would have to initiate an attack or lure something in to attack.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Is I and my bird can be a distraction.
Problem is, the moment that they see you, they'll be expecting the rest of us.
Yeah, but they won't know where to expect us from. Well, at some point.
Here's a different option though. There's a couple of these people rolling around ahead of the group, right? With those big waxed cloaks.
Yep.
Well, the big waxy cloaks cover their faces, right? Or cover large parts of them, it seems.
Oh, yes.
So what if we jump a couple of those guys, take a couple of their cloaks, and make our way in all stealthy like? For the sabotage.
Where are the cloaked guys at?
They are the majority of them are at the front, spread out throughout the various columns or units that are rushing forward. There are a few that hang back with the opossum to sort of what looks like butcher a few ants and collect the necessary parts and provide them to the laboratory.
So it feels like the ones we should maybe get after are those butcher ones, because they're the ones most likely to move towards the back for some reason. So if we can find a likely place where they're traveling through some more heavily bushed area, we could. I don't know how else to say that.
It's gotta be better.
Yeah. There's some heavy bush there.
Dense foliage.
Dense foliage. There we go. We could jump them there, and get those cloaks and move our way backwards.
Yeah.
That is a plan.
Your plan.
Your face is a plan.
Your mom's face is a plan.
Your mouse face is a plan. Do we want to use the Blue Jays in this?
Yeah, so I think we do.
Are the Blue Jays capable of taking orders? Like, could they say, do a dive bomb? Well, we're not on them.
Yes, you will have to make a hunter check in order to do that, though.
Not a hunter. Well, a little bit of a hunter. So yeah, well, what if we did this? We could have the Blue Jays kind of do a quick dive bomb on the front of the column, as we are attacking at that middle point of the column where the cloaked guys are, who are cutting up ants for stuff. And that will have everybody looking in the wrong direction as we come in and slit some throats and get these cloaks and get to the back. And then figure out, and then we just have them attack real quick. Then they swoop back up, and then they wait for our signal to come and attack the barrel if we need them to, that has the attack me pheromone in it. Once we figure out which one it is.
Okay.
Sense making?
I think so.
Does. That is one way to get the attack pheromone and see which hose it is connected to.
And it gets Stroud to Goss.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it completes all of our conflict issues.
Here's the limitation. One person will have to lead the Blue Jays.
I have a hunter of 3.
Good. Sounds like you're our guy.
Am I the guy?
Adam
I don't know.
got a hunter of 2, so.
Okay, I'll do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
Before we execute this plan, Thistlebristle's gonna wonder, should we be stabbing the people in the cloaks? Would this perhaps get
I-
blood on them, which would make the ants attack?
They attack by pheromone, Stroud. Isn't that correct?
That's correct. And also, given the fact that those two in the back have already been decapitating ants already, I'm sure it probably is a normal thing. So
There might be a neutral zone.
it might, yeah. So I think that might be kind of our safety guard, is that the ants are kind of expecting that, okay, this is like the murder zone.
Everything's fine. It's the everything fine smell.
Oh,
Very much.
okay. Well, thanks you all for listening to me.
So
Feel much better now.
I don't think you guys necessarily.
It'd be very bad to get swarmed by ants in the middle of the army.
Yeah.
I don't think you necessarily have to stab them if you don't want to kill people. I was just being hyperbolic.
And I imagine that the cloaks make you somewhat invisible to the ants.
Which
Well,
was
clearly
why
they're
I
not-
was worried
they're not
that
being
the
ripped
blood would
apart.
get on it and make it no longer invisible.
I'm ready for my part. I'm Team Dive Bomb.
The birds have a nature of 5.
So I have to overcome that.
Yep, it's
In
a
successes?
versus test.
All right, so I will be using my nature, and reducing it by 1, because this is obviously not a thing that I should be doing.
It's fine.
So that will give me 8 dice total on my hunter.
5 successes off of 8. Even
I
is
know
pretty
it's
rough.
a little, but I'm also clever,
Oh,
and so
Ooh.
I'm gonna throw clever into there because I will. I don't know how I would be clever in this situation because I'm not as clever as my character all the time. I will do something.
Worms. There's worms there.
There's
See
worms
them?
there. Yeah. Yes, I like it. There you go. Look, Blue Jays, worms. Go get them. Go.
these worms bite.
Bite back. Bite harder.
But that's all I've got. So the way this plays out in my brain is we drop you off, we fly around, and we wait for them to get to the point when it's best for you all to ambush them. I then, with the Blue Jays, dive bomb the front, you assault, and then I pull the Blue Jays out because we're not going to get in a sustained fight. You all make your way back to the lab, get up on top of the opossum, and then we will wait for your signal to drop back in and do whatever damage we need to do to the opossum.
Okay.
Dunsies? Okay. I'm going to make my roll. So this, for just to be clear, then this assumes that everybody's already dropped off in the proper position. We're already up in the sky, and we're starting. Rawr, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You need to beat 3 successes.
I thought it was 5.
Oh no, that was their nature. That's what they get to roll.
Oh, I thought I needed to beat 5 successes. My bad.
Mm.
Well, I'm still at 96 because this is really important, and I want to,
Yeah.
not fail my
Woo.
team right now. So I'll permanently reduce my nature by
Oof.
1, and then.
Yay!
All right, team. We're gonna go down there. We're gonna dive them, and then we're gonna go pull right back up. Don't let yourself get hurt any more than you have to. Get up and let's go.
This angry tweets and Twitter. It's Twitter birds. Twitters.
I like to
And
think that Thane puts on a tiny little pair of aviator glasses.
oh,
Little-
fly into
Ah,
the danger zone. Into the danger zone. All right, this is going to work. And you guys are going to realize which hose is attached to the attack pheromone. But you also need to acquire these cloaks. Now, here's what I'll ask you. You want 4 cloaks, right?
Preferably.
Okay.
I think we only need 3 because the plan was for Thane to control the birds for an attack run if necessary after we get up to the lab,
sure.
right?
Sure.
Mhm. So
Or just
yeah,
3.
3. Okay. you're going to be able to essentially take these characters by surprise. Whether or not you're able to kill enough of them in order to get what you require without stirring the boiling pot of ants that surround you is the question. So we will have another versus test. This will be a fighter check versus the matron's delightful leaders, the guiders, the butchers. Figure out the dice because they're going to be rolling 8d6.
I will lead this. Also, I am fearless.
Oh my god, that's right. I'm going to get some coffee really quick.
Okay. So are we all making individual rolls or a combined roll?
You know, that part I was a little uncertain of. I think you guys are helping.
Okay, that would
But-
make sense because we got to go against 8 dice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one roll with helpers, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, great. And
We'll save the big stuff for the big stuff.
Oh shoot.
Okay, so I'm bringing 6 to the table on my own, or 7.
very nice.
Dropping that
Um,
7 bomb.
How were you guys assisting?
Uh,
I will assist with fighter.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm going to assist with manipulator by using my wonderful skills that I learned in my hometown to make it seem like we don't exist.
Nice. Okay, so 9d6 greater than 4.
Noise, noise,
Just
noise,
beat
noise,
it.
noise.
Just beat it by 1.
Very
Wait,
good.
do I need to
All
beat
right.
it by more?
Thankfully not. Otherwise, I would have my way. At least more than once per session. So, this scene begins with, I imagine, a shrill signal from the Blue Jays as they dive bomb the front lines. And the 3 of you are in position nearby as the groundwork for this operation is being sort of settled and crafted. It is a grisly work. Stroud, you realize the haphazard solution you figured out that night when the ants first invaded the palace. You had to escape through a secret passage. That was child's play. As rushed as it was, these 3 individuals that easily catch, it's very macabre. They catch individual ants, lift them up with their heavily gloved and waxed like claws, like it's like stiff, like long fingers that just sort of like hold them and maneuver them. It's like a horrible monster movie. And they just ever so delicately begin to disassemble the ants. And if you did not know that the ants cannot really feel this, you would imagine it would be one of the most grisly deaths imaginable.
Just a little.
Just a little.
Ugh.
But they are so engrossed in their work, and you imagine that those suits, those robes that they're wearing are probably not very like, they don't give them like a lot of like omnidirectional sense.
Yeah,
You basically have like a porthole. And I guess I'll leave this to Finn, because you're the one who rolled. How does this fight begin?
Well, I'm actually looking for the fight to begin and end pretty quickly and quietly. My plan is that we sort of roll up on them, like I just go, all right, you over there, you over there, all right, and then we just go. And I'm actually trying to not like just dismember these guys, but rather like I take my axe and like use the haft to just like bludgeon this person to, like into senselessness so that I can take their robe without having too much of an issue. And I instruct the other two to do something similar to try to keep everything intact and not make too much noise or mess.
Thistle Bristle is going to sneak up on their target and watch for the perfect moment, and then sneaks their long tail out and trips up the one that they're after just at the exact right moment so that they've torn off one of the ant's heads, and they trip and fall so that its pincers go into their eye sockets.
Oh my god! It's like the head is still doing its thing.
Yes.
Yeah. That's awful. I love it. Stroud, do you have any creative ways?
I am just going to, I'm assuming that they're using some acid-based product to dilute some of the stuff. So I'm going to take a jar of that stuff and basically tap on one of them and be like, hey, and then dash it all over their face.
Beautiful. And immediately,
I'm the nice one, Jesus.
Suddenly, Mouse Guard is grimdark.
I mean, I'm the one who started the Monster Mash. So Throck, Thane has like a very, I don't know if yours is scarier than theirs. Like theirs is grisly, yours is like, it's like scary. It's high strung, dodgy attacks, because any instant that you linger too long on this front line is another instant that the ants have to just swarm and blanket themselves over their quarry.
Which is why I'm hoping to dive bomb them. So what I will tell the Blue Jays to do is, as we have dropped them off, everybody picks up a rock in each claw. We fly up, and then they only drop one each time we go down, and it kind of rolls through the ants, right? So we don't actually land on them. We hit them with the rocks and then pull back up, and then once each one is out, we go pick up some more rocks and we do it again. So
okay, I love that.
It's more
That's
of a
cool.
yeah. We're dive bombing.
It's like the only thing I can think of is in the Return to the King, where Minas Tirith starts just pelting the orcs with the big boulders, and you hear that.
I'm just thinking of Monty Python and trying to figure out exactly how these birds are carrying the rocks, but I'm fine.
They're ant-sized, and these are blue jays, and they're little rocks. And get over it, because it's fantasy.
Question of weight ratios.
He sang really good.
It's not a coconut. It's not a coconut.
Best shit posts.
Awesome. Perfect.
Finn, the shit poster.
All right. The reaction with the rest of you is immediate. The ants, they begin to become agitated, and they move in. There seems to be like a radius around these robes that sort of like give you some room to work with, but it's a very like small section of this tide that sort of laps at your personal bubble, like almost disturbingly so, like a living ocean of death.
Woof.
I'll actually instruct.
And by the way, these robes, they're easy to get off. Like you can literally just pull them up like a onesie.
Yay.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay,
it's
cool.
a onesie.
Thistle, Stroud, come closer.
Okay.
Like once you get my thinking is that if the three of us are together, our personal bubble it may be easier for the three of us to move as a unit.
By our
Not only
pheromones
that,
combined.
because some of you have have damaged these suits.
Yes, some of you have.
No. Mine's undamaged. It's just the mouse that's damaged.
Just a little slight acid burn. It's okay.
Okay. Clearly the mice get from the ground to the top of the possum. Is there a rope ladder or something?
You see, the other two mice, along with Goss, actually make their way from one flank to the other where there is no scaffolding by clinging to her ragged, musky hide.
Blech.
The
All right.
You see that she's
Great.
also like her mouth is open. She's lumbering forward with this like big, drooling maw that is just sort of like opening and closing with exhaustion.
Okay. Let's get up there. Time
Yep.
to climb.
doing it.
All right.
Making it happen.
Do you want to sneak up there, or do you want to go blades drawn?
I think we want to sneak as long as we can.
Yeah.
Give
Just
me-
sort of walk casual. Like we don't need them to not see us because they're expecting three people in these cloaks behind them. We just need them to not think that we're us.
Yeah. Either give me a manipulator / deceiver or a sort of a nature scout check. And I do know that Thistle has manipulator / deceiver.
I have deceiver as well. I've got it at 3. How are you, Thistle?
I've only got 2, so let's give it to you again.
All right.
I will help with my deceiver
I will help with my scout.
later.
Perfect.
Cool. All right, this is how we did it back in the old days. So you just gotta act like there's nowhere else in the world you ought to be than where you are right now. Nope, everything is fine. I'm doing exactly my job. Walk, 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 walk.
I am doing my job. I'm following your orders.
Yes.
Hooray!
Strat actually knows what he's doing.
I do, but I'm like gagging from all this terrible burn in this outfit now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's bad.
I will also once again call on the fact that I'm fearless to aid in my
Nice.
just like sauntering through the ants.
Sure thing. Yeah, this is a very scary thing. You're walking through literally hip deep in ants when they forget that you're there. And it's this massive, like elephant-sized opossum.
Intensity.
Do you say intensity?
I should have.
What do I pay to reroll 6s?
A
Is it
fate
persona?
point.
What do okay, personas are for what again?
Persona points can add 1 dice per persona point. It can tap your nature for you, or you can reroll all failures if you have a wise that relates to the roll.
Ah, okay. I do not have a wise for this.
You succeeded though,
Oh, okay, cool.
Yay!
because this was a versus test against the opossum
Ah,
to sense that something was amiss.
Obviously very tired opossum.
Oh yes, this is not an easy job for her. She's carried many a child, but none so as laborsome as a literal laboratory.
just walking through some ants. Hey, let's go a little faster because of those fucking ants. Da, 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 da.
Yeah, the ants, like some of them like bump into you and like their antennae just sort of like scour along your roads. Yeah. One of them is actually like stuck on like Thistle's back and is like, ah, ah.
The word, by the way, for when you feel as if bugs are crawling all over your skin that you get from watching things is
That hugs.
formication. It's
Ooh,
formication.
formication.
Related to formic being ants. Yes.
Fancy.
Yes.
Today on Ben Teaches Us New Stuff. Zed teaches us new stuff. I'm just not going to use your online name.
Oh,
today,
no, apparently
so,
not.
Yeah, it's my fault.
Thistle
I blame
keeps
me.
like slapping the ant on their back with their long tail, like, go away, go away, go away.
I love it. Oh man. Okay, so you're going to be able to climb onto the lab. What are you gonna do then?
I realize that these ants are like, they're like fucking Doberman Pinscher sized for us.
I know.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
I'm just like playing with all of them, by the way. I'm just like, you're
Hi.
so cute. Oh my God, you're so adorable. I'm going to take you home.
Oh my god. Like it's like you see all the drones before you, Stroud, and you're just like, I just want to hug them all.
Scratching them behind their antenna.
Oh, it's like Ant-Man.
So I have an idea for how to deal with the people that we need to deal with on this possum. And as we're getting close and start climbing up, Thistle's going to turn to Finn and say, I was trained as a carpenter in my homeland. There are so many weaknesses in this scaffolding. We could make it all collapse, taking out all of the guards. If we attack here, here, and here. But it's up to you, of course.
Actually, for what it's worth, I'm fine with this being your call, but we should, if we can, check with Strauss. Strauss is his name?
No, that's my name.
No, the
Gauss.
guy who's Gauss. Thank
Gauss.
you.
It's my last name. How dare you?
I'm very sorry. We should check with Gauss to see if any of the other scientists can be trusted.
Yeah, smart.
Uh-huh. All
But
right.
otherwise, I think your idea is a good one. All right. let's go.
So, the plan is to sabotage the barrels and
The plan is to sneak our way to Gauss,
Mhm.
check and make sure that A, Gauss is okay, and B, that whether or not like anyone else there can be trusted. Then fuck with the scaffolding and simultaneously pheromonify the ants,
Mhm.
taking
Smart.
out the guards and the possum simultaneously, hopefully.
okay.
Okay.
Here's what you will have to do. Stroud, or one of you who is approaching, will have to make some sort of persuasion check. Otherwise, you can see just from here, Goss is just very, very tired and also very, very terrified of his situation. It's possible he might react a little too eagerly without realizing the danger. You also have to consider that he is attached to this laboratory currently via manacles. I almost said mandible. So this has to happen in very specific terms. Number one, you could start with Stroud and Goss, and then you can do the carpentry, because I love that. And then there's the matter of the two other scientists on board.
Okay.
What order of those do you want to take?
I think we still have to start with Gauss,
Yeah.
because determining what's going to happen with the other two scientists is based in part on what Gauze has to say.
Yeah.
Okay. So, it'll be a persuasion check.
Okay. I would obviously volunteer in this situation to go up to Gauss. And I have a persuader of 3.
I will assist with Deceiver.
This will be obstacle 3.
Okay. Pistol.
Goodness, I was gonna use Deceiver.
I could instead help with
I'll help.
Deceiver.
I'll help with Pathfinder. I'll point out a good direction for you to approach boss so that it doesn't seem suspicious.
Is that okay for?
Go up the tail.
Okay.
All right.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
You're cutting it close.
Right?
So, what do you say to Goss as you approach? Disguised, thankfully.
So Gauss and I have a key phrase that we used to share when we were in the laboratory together. And I would always used to tell him acetaldehyde.
Sure.
Like you do.
That's a good safe word. That's not going to accidentally come up.
I mean, I figured if anything, it's going to get him going like, what? That doesn't make any sense in this mixture. So I'm going to go up to him and I'm going to, whisper acetaldehyde behind Gauss.
Okay. He perks up. His ears sort of lift ever so slightly. And then one quirks to the side as he turns. And you see he is a mess. It breaks your heart to see him like this. There thankfully are no injuries, but you can see his hands, despite wearing gloves. You see that the fur along his wrists are suffering from acid burns. And they're a little bald, more bald than they should be. But he pauses, and you see his tail sort of like curl at the tip, and ever so gently, he gives you a nod, glances over to the 2 other scientists, and he sort of inclines his head from side to side and says, "There's no ace of formaldehyde."
So I'm gonna so now that I've got his attention, I'm gonna just skip straight to it. Obviously I'm well aware that he's not in the best of state, and I'm pointing the 2 fingers at the 2 scientists and being like,
he goes and he is sort of like you see that he's like moving the wheel a little bit back and forth. And he starts making these like battering ram motions towards them.
Okay, so I'm just gonna assume that that's bad. So so I kept the acid I had from the when I bludgeoned that poor hapless other person. So what I'm gonna do,
there are enough materials in front of you too.
That too, but what I'm gonna use it right now is to use it to burn the manacles off.
Hey.
Okay,
it's quiet. Okay. It's it'll be a localized.
Also, it saves a step, because I was gonna say if Thistle fails the carpentry, then he goes with the laboratory. Throw the baby out with the bathwater.
No, not after.
So how about this? Make a scientist check while Thistle performs a carpentry check.
I will assist Thistle's carpentry with...
It's going to be obstacle 4 carpentry, obstacle 3 scientist.
Oh, shit, I only have 3 scientists.
Oh goodness.
You can have helping dice from Goss.
Okay.
Yeah, Gauss will help you.
I will help Thistle with Boat Crafter.
Nice.
Perfect.
I'm going to use my bold.
Sink this possum.
I'm going to use my bold trait because this is a very bold plan that I'm trying to put into effect. I'm
Agreed.
also going to
We're scuttling a possum.
use a persona point to invoke my nature, and I'm going to tell Finn to use their teeth to chew through the wood, which is a very mousy thing, because it will be faster than trying to use your sword and will not make such loud noises.
Or
And
axe.
that's gonna give
Yeah.
me
Oh my God, Stroud, you did it again.
9 dice that I get to roll. This is
9
good.
dice for an obstacle 4. I think that's a good balance. I've seen worse. I have seen worse.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm going to use another point to use my Code of the Guard wise to bring our powers together to overcome this adversity.
4.
I'm just trying to think where in the oaths of the guard involve disassembling an opossum.
Addendum 2, obviously. Didn't you read that?
We must give our all. Come on, Finn.
This opossum is not up to building code.
hang on.
I'm thinking.
I'm going.
Are you going to use a fate point or a persona point? To reroll 1 or all?
All.
I'm bleeding you guys. All right. If you'd like, go right ahead.
Yay!
You need one more success.
We as Guard offer all that we are, our teeth, to protect the sanctity of our species, getting rid of this possum, the freedom of our kin, helping out Goss, the honor of our ancestors, all the guards mice that came before know that this would be a bad thing, with knowledge, which is what we've been using this whole time, sword and shield, which we've got quite a lot of. We do these deeds, never putting a lone mouse above the needs of all, so our own bodies, keeping them from, or our own bodies in harm's way instead of allowing this horrifying
saving the
ass
entirety
ants,
of
yep.
Venn.
Or the desire of self above another. We strive for no less than to serve the greatest good.
Yes. I love it. And we're so successful because of it.
Oh my God. Thistle, you hear the oath that you are ready to take. You are ready to earn this cloak. And with it, you will shatter even the greatest of vermin. It is at this point that the manacles come loose from Goss's wrists, and he does something drastic. He sort of ties them to a long rod that looks like it was sort of used to stabilize some of the more fragile beakers, and he sort of pulls you to the wheel and says, "On the count of 3, push it, and it'll swing right into them."
Nice.
Okay.
And it is at that point that Thistle's gnawing is beginning to give way. You feel the structure of the scaffolding begin to sort of lift beneath you. And very quickly, you realize, oh, this is going to fall. And then he says, oh, never mind. No. And he says, where do we go? Where do we jump?
Oh God.
What did it make
And
you
then Thane, you're coming in, right?
I will assume somebody had sent some sort of signal, and this is the point at
Yes.
which.
For the bird cavalry.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's go. Hop on my steeds.
Now let's blow this popsicle stand.
We have air support. We're mouse guard with air support.
I love it.
Broken arrow.
He is more than okay with this. First, he realizes what the plan is, and I'm sure Stroud, you are like you could just ask him which one is the attack pheromone and which ones are the rest. And thankfully, the structure of your attack, of your disassembling, is going to leave these barrels completely just crushed beneath the framework that is now coming loose. And yeah, the birds come down, the blue jays begin to either pick you up or give you a moment to jump on. Mm-hmm. And Stroud, you and Goss reach over to one of the barrels where the little nozzle is hooked into the hose. Uh-huh. And he sort of, what weapon do you have, by the way? I forget. Is it a sword?
What?
Do you have a sword?
No, I have a bow.
Oh, geez. He grabs a hammer and he begins to wham, wham, wham at the nozzle, trying to open it. And you can see he's just too weak over the course of his labor underneath such horrid conditions. And he sort of hands it to you to do the honors of releasing the concoction that will send the entire army into a frenzy over this opossum.
And I'm going to do it with sass.
Beautiful.
So,
with a ever so sassy blow, you knock off the bottom where the nozzle is hooked to and send it. Oh, it's like a noxious curdled is the word I would use. Liquid that begins to gunk out in horrid squirts. And you leap onto your bird, Goss, clutching your robe for dear life, as the other two mice that were on there are subsequently crushed beneath the lab, and the opossum begins to hiss as the ants begin to turn on her. And under their assault, you see the dark gray fur and the pink skin of that tail become merely another lump beneath the... I'm trying to think of a word that encapsulates, like, I've used carpet, but like horde. It is just like a horde. I don't know.
The ciceration of ants.
That's a good one.
Scuttling morass of legs and mandibles.
The molasses of the ant horde. It is a grisly way to go. But knowing that she is responsible for much of the devastation that has racked the countryside of Venn, as well as the initial assault on the palace that no doubt had casualties of its own, this deed is a necessary one. And you fly away, knowing that this particular threat to not only the snapping turtle, whose archives were easily the most vulnerable out of all, the whole of Venn will now be much safer with no one controlling the warring hives, the colonies of the ants, who will now essentially begin to destroy each other in their territorial endeavors.
As it should be.
Yes.
They're ants. Let them do ant things.
Hmm.
I'm going to take this moment too now because it has been way too long and we've had this life-threatening situation. I'm going to take this lotion I have in my pocket and rub it on Gauss's hands, and I'm going to smooch his hands, and I'm going to profess my love for him at that point.
Aww.
He
We're all like flapping in the wind, like we all look back. Ah!
This is the most romantic scene. This is the most romantic time ever. Okay, we're flying in the middle of the moonlight. I'm taking this moment. God damn it!
Yeah.
danger zone. The gay zone.
We might not make it through this. You have to know before we die.
I used acetaldehyde. Don't you know how serious this is?
Will you acetaldehyde me? I adore this tender moment because it is almost a flinching reaction to this, because for one, he's embarrassed for doing such a bad job at not only just like science it. He wasn't able to science his way out of this, and in some parts he had some responsibility with some of these concoctions that have been clearly used for wrongdoing. But all that is forgotten when he finds that the comfort of your concern, because he has struggled in times to sort of prove himself independent. In a way, that's why he came to Venn, to sort of do something that you did, find something he believed in, and pour himself into that work.
Yeah, I'm going to tell him too. I was like, our first thing we'll do together as a couple is publish an article in this peer-reviewed journal together. We'll have both our names on there, and your name can be first.
Ooh, lead authorship.
Can it have MD at the front?
Yes, it may. The nerdiest
and,
relationship.
Yes, and he leans his face forward, his little whiskers tickling yours, and he just sort of like kisses your eye, like right there, like the soft little fuzz, and just sort of nuzzles in deep as mice do, and he just very like breathes. Thanks. I love you so much. I'm sorry I have such shit choices in employment.
And I'm going to whisper in and I'm going to look at him and say, your mixture was off by 3 moles. That's okay.
And he pushes you off the Blue Jay. All right. What do we want to do now? We could move on to the next scene, or we can take a small break.
This feels like a perfect place to take a break.
What do you mean? We won. That's it, right?
That's it. This game over. Yeah.
Everything's happy.
Or are we going to have the I can show you the world?
I can show
you
the
world.
I know.
Shining, shimmering splendor.
And then
Tell me, Mousy.
Now when did you
Surrender.
last let your heart
Heart
decide?
a whole new world.
Bird.
a mole. Man.
All right, we'll be back right after these messages. We'll see you soon for the finale, half of the finale of Queens of Venn. Bye. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. If you get a second during break, you should check out one of our amazing sponsors. We're now proudly sponsored by Roll20, the best virtual tabletop for all your role-playing needs. Over 4 million people use Roll20's virtual tabletop to power their favorite games. And with more modules than you can shake a stick at on their new revamped storefront, you'll definitely find something for your group to enjoy. Sign up today by clicking the link below or heading to roll20.net/start/WTTP. Tabletop Loot is an amazing place to get your dice bags, dice boxes, and more. And now you can get 15% off your purchase at tabletoploot.com by using the code WTTPDICE at checkout. Tabletop Loot. Your party starts here. While you're at it, check out our so awesome merch store, So Nerdware. So Nerdware is the place to find all your Welcome to the Party merch and other amazing stuff too. Head on over to sonerdware.com and use the code WELCOME at checkout to get 10% off your next purchase. So Nerdware. It's what the nerds wear. Devin Rue, the amazing mistress of maps, has kindly supported the channel since the beginning and provides graphics for many of our streams. Head on over to rueinc.com to check out some of the best fantasy cartography on the web. Our Patreon supports the creators and producers of the channel by providing Roll20 subscriptions, cost coverage for video hosting, and more. If you want to support the channel while getting podcasts a week early, gaming articles that are published on Patreon first, a shout out during our break, and more, head on over to patreon.com/welcomepartyrpg and throw us a buck or $5. And last, but certainly not least, help out the party. Subs and bits not only support the stream, but also every 500 bits or a tier 1 sub gives a player or DM of your choice a reroll or system equivalent, and every 1000 bits or tier 2 sub gives a player or DM of your choice a crit or system equivalent. Thanks again for hanging out with us today. The game will be back in just a few minutes.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Well, howdy. We are back.
Oh my God, no!
No.
So,
Mission accomplished.
the hardest part of this session, the most daunting, is done. Now you just have to go meet a snapping turtle. So,
Sure. Yeah, that always
upon-
goes well for things of our size.
I mean, it's mouse guard. It's not. You're not a mouse guard unless you get face to face with a snapping turtle.
It's true. It's true.
So yeah.
It's true.
So Rivenon dwells in the underground parts of Venn, where Maravon cannot follow you. But I imagine now that you have cleared the worst obstacle of all time, she will assemble her forces and attend to convincing the weasel that we can actually save this kingdom. So Azilus you will meet Azilus before the palace assault, but for now you have to go and confer with Rivenon. So what I'll need from you guys is a Pathfinder check to get there first.
Okay. I am
Right.
pathwise, and I have direction sense, and I'm built for this. This is what I do.
Nice.
I will assist with Riverwise.
Yay!
Yay.
So we are at 8,
We'll assist with Scout.
9.
Obstacle 5!
And I will assist with Pathfinder. What
10.
a wonderful learning experience for Thistle Bristler.
10d6.
Oh,
Keep
shit.
it
By the way, once we land again and I can actually talk to you, I will say that was a good plan with the carpentry. That went quite well.
Thank you, sir.
I have met your obstacle.
Bump-a-da-ra.
If you insist. Look at all those sixes.
I know.
All right. The last time you were here,
I am a
it was you were being pursued by weasels and crazed mouse wearing weasel skull alike. Now, you realize what a bad situation this could have turned out to be if the ants were focused into these underground passages. The streets are abandoned, but you see that there are signs of battle that have thankfully ended. And although the presence of the citizens who once dwelled here, lived here, worked here, and socialized here, they have rightly abandoned such activities. The archives, however, line the ring that surrounds the palace. So the palace is surrounded by the towers that represent the daughters, but around the underground layer is a sort of a structure, a network of tunnels and division of districts. But they are all connected with a central library where much of the knowledge is stored from all different species that have been assembled into Venn's hierarchy, with, as you might imagine, flowers denoting various ranks, statuses, and all that. You see that the doors outside of each of these entrances are riddled with daffodils that, as you understand, are dying because, in fact, much of the flowers that once were used to sort of denote wealth or prominence have sort of been cast aside. They've been left behind now that the structure that once gave them meaning has essentially dissolved in the embroiled conflict. And the door is ajar.
No, it's a door. It can't also be a jar.
Okay, you.
Sorry.
Okay.
I
you.
play Pot of Greed! Jar of Greed! The entrance is lit, and beyond there is what appears to be a dome, an immense structure that looms overhead. And upon the various shelves that sort of ring around the central area, you see there are huddling figures. Several animals, both mice, weasel, vole, and others, are taking shelter between the shelves where scrolls and tomes sit, many of which are getting some use out of them, being cracked open, their spines creaking as pages are turned. And
The spines
you
of the
know-
books or the poor little animals carrying them?
Oh man,
Oh.
books, not the little, not the little one.
I thought maybe the books are really heavy.
I mean, they're like mouse-sized books and weasel-sized books. Like, it maybe if a weasel one dropped from like 8 feet, it might crush a baby. I don't know.
So everyone's
But
okay.
you see that there seem to be a lot of non-combatants sort of taking shelter here. The fact that the door was open is a little strange. But you are approached by a robed figure, which its shape clearly makes it out to be a little,
Damn it!
surprisingly, a little. Oh god! Oh my god! This cat! Oh my gosh! You are in trouble, mister. You see a little mole shuffling towards you all. That's right. That's right. You threaten her with treats. You see this little mole shuffle forward, and they greet each of you with a solemn bow, and you hear his little tiny voice. I've been imagining what a mole voice sounds like. You hear him say,
We have been expecting you. Mouse guard.
Excellent. Then you know where we need to be.
Servants of Marabon. Tell us, why are you here?
We seek to speak with your master.
Very well.
and he turns, shuffling a bit towards the center of the room, and you see, Rivenon's just right there. Big Turtle is in the center of the room. And before it are several other moles and a few mice that appear to be reading to it. And they stop and look up once you get close enough. And the mole sort of holds out a paw, stopping you, and says, "No further. You would be," he leans in, "amiss to get too close."
How should we address your mistress?
Respectfully, with most gentle mistress.
Most gentle mistress. We come with a proposal and news.
The great turtle's head sort of it almost like animates. It almost like looks like a stone statue coming to life as it once was still and unconcerned. Now it rises and curves towards the direction of your voice. And you see its eyes are a clouded mist almost. There's almost like no reflection in them. And you see its great bulk shift ever so slightly with a almost like it's about to fall over until it stands very shakily. And you hear its voice resonate within the chamber. Yes, sir. The mouse guard approaches. Speak upon your terms.
We come as spokespeople of your rightful queen, who still lives and awaits her return to this island. We have destroyed the great ant army marching under the power of pheromones. It now feeds upon itself. And the possum, who was possum? Right?
Oh,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
possum, yes.
Yeah, and the possum who was carrying the poison that led those ants to destroy so much of this island.
The matron of moonlight will earn a rightful grave beneath their broken bodies once I arise.
And that is why we come to ask you to arise and help us reseat the rightful queen upon her throne. We must go back to the imperial palace and assault its walls. And while that happens, the four of us will land upon its roof and do what must be done on the inside.
What good is this plan when the daughters cannot follow the queen?
With your support and with Maravon's support, and we believe
Azilus.
Azilus would stand with the queen if she knew the queen lived. That there is more than enough support to support. There more than enough support to hold the throne for the rightful queen of Venn.
To hold the throne, maybe. But to do so in honor of the old orchid. Her mother brought this island into being. What good can this young thing do? What promise of a future can I put faith in outside of my archive?
Peace. The knowledge of the mainland without the conquest of the mainland. Sharing what we know with you and yours within this place.
Also, with the turtle's great guidance. Mention the turtle's great guidance.
Also,
Wisdom.
with your great guidance and wisdom, thank you, the further enrichment of both our culture and yours.
Now this catches her eyes, in a sense.
Sure.
And she says, "True. I have hungered for knowledge beyond our shores. The makings of your towns
the means in which you function and bring order. I doubt you are ready for the unity we promise. But I am patient.
Rest assured, there will be no empire building. But there will be a free flow of knowledge and trade and goods. Peacefully. Without precondition.
Lockhaven also has a lot of books that this turtle probably hasn't seen and would be interested in.
Lockhaven also has a lot of books that you have not seen and might be interested in.
We'd be happy to send people with copies to help read them to you.
We'd be happy to send people with copies.
Are you aware I can hear you? I have taught babes of all kinds to read the script of Venn. I have heard the lightest of whispers upon the earth beneath me. Your old croning voice grates on me.
I squeak.
Finn's voice aside. What say you?
The mouse guard can be trusted, but I hunger for more. A promise. Kill Crotic.
Oh, yeah, sure, totally.
Sink your weapons into his fur. Carve his pelt, if you must.
It will be done.
Give me blood to write this history with. I shall break the gate.
As you wish.
That's right, as I wish.
Okay.
And she turns and says,
Make way, wormlings.
as she pushes her way through the moles that scatter before her. And you see that there is an exit that is purely for her. It is a ramp, literally like a parking lot ramp that like goes up. And it's just one way for her. And the mole that had greeted you comes forward and says, we will come to you once things are ready. Please assure us that the battle will be waged.
It absolutely will be waged.
I'm just looking at Thistle going like, how does she get back down from there?
This is like, I'm so fucking scared right now. I have no idea. This is horrifying.
She, you see the lumbering turtle like falters at the first incline and is like,
I require leverage.
and the moles,
Wormlings.
She begins to get like some push, some leeway. It'll be a while before she reaches the surface, but you imagine once she is on even ground, there will be nothing standing in her way.
All right. So
Mm.
all that's left is to do the assault.
Yep. You guys, I guess, return to Maribon in her tower. She's on the ground floor now. And alongside her is a weasel. Tall, armored, with what looks like a sort of a mask of chainmail with a veil, more like it, with just enough parted to reveal her eyes as they dart towards you suspiciously. And it is Ozillis. She grips her sword at her side, a large and threatening thing, considering it's about twice your size and length. And she
scares me.
gives a little bit of a bow, but not too low, as she says, "So, you are the ones Marivon has had so much confidence in. What is Rivenon's answer?"
Rivenon marches.
Well, good. That means we have time to
Prods.
have lunch. What is your plan? What are you little things going to do?
We need an assault on the gate. Rivenon will lead it and bash open the gate itself, but we'll need infantry support to do so. We, on the other hand, will fly in on the Blue Jays Marivon has so kindly allowed us to work with. And we'll assault from above and move straight for Krotik and his cronies. Once that's done, we will have paved the way for the Queen to return.
Well, you call them cronies, but they are more dangerous than that. The zealots that follow the mad squirrel are vicious. They're like nothing I've ever fought before. My infantry, thankfully, can at least bring up the bulk that will be ramming against their gate. My only concern is whether or not we can rest assured that when we get into the palace, we'll have an end goal in sight.
The end goal will be the palace throne room. We will fight our way there. You will come up from the bottom, and together we'll meet in the middle. There, with any luck, will be Krotik's body on the ground by the time you achieve it. The end goal is to make the palace safe for the return of the Queen. That's a simple goal, hard to achieve.
And is it worth the sacrifice?
Yes.
Why?
This island is currently being run by people who will overrun my lands, who will not treat us with kindness and respect, who will refuse to respect our rules and boundaries. But your queen will not. Your queen has seen our people, understands who we are better than most, and will rule side by side with us, rather than attempting to rule over us.
So this is inasmuch something for you to gain.
Would we
You're
be
removing
here?
an enemy.
Of course. We're removing your enemy and our enemy.
What does the matriarch have to say about this?
The matriarch.
Of Lockhaven.
Oh.
Of Lockhaven.
She was skeptical, but gave us, due to our ability to work here and due to the success we've shown in the past, gave us the opportunity to attempt this tactic before other tactics. So it is in all of our best interests that we're successful.
I remember prior to Krodik's landing that there was a good sense of purpose driving this land. And I hope to imagine that by the time we're done here, that purpose will be renewed. You have to trust I have doubts whether a child can do this, can carry this burden forward.
No one person can carry this burden by themselves. It will be on you and Marivon and Rivenon to ensure that she can carry it.
Sir, if I may.
Yes.
Hello. My name is Thistle Bristle. I have spent a good amount of time with your queen and heard stories of her mother and the things that were done here. Hours where she regaled me with the majesty of Venn that once was, and how it was degraded with the coming of Krotik. She is optimistic. She is young. She has drive. She believes in this land and everything that it can be. She believes in you, and she believes in us, and she believes that we can win this day and make this island great again. Make it worth saving. Make today worth happening. I have seen her drive. I have seen the power inherent in her standing and her dedication. And if you can hear it in my voice and my trust in her, I hope that you can follow your queen.
Let's have a roll, shall we?
Ah!
So you're sounding pretty stern. So if you want to use your deceiver / manipulator to sort of have this intensity, this intimidation factor, go right ahead.
Cool.
This
That is the skill.
This will influence a little bit the coming battle. How fiercely she will try to push forward with her troops, and whether that resistance will draw more from the top of the palace down. This will be obstacle 4.
Okay. Can I get some help, y'all?
Yeah, I'll check in
Yeah.
my persuader.
Which you have regally done. You've been very persuasive.
Okay.
This is. I will toss in my toughness to project an aura of strength.
Yeah, you'll need that. She's looking at these mice who are like, yes, we will kill the monster. To be fair, you did just get rid of an opossum.
Right.
Hence why she's listening to you right now. Stroud, do you have anything to give besides hand holding?
Loving.
We already did Persuader, right? So
I think with like social stuff, you could give me something to like assure Azilis that you guys can do what you mean to do, and also that the queen is worth supporting.
okay, I'll do Persuader then for that.
Okay.
All right. Total of 7. 3.
3. You need one more. Do you want to spend a fate point?
Yes.
Reroll
Yes,
them
I do.
sixes, or reroll them
Yeah.
failures. Reroll the failures.
Yes. Rerolling failures.
You get 4 of those.
Here we
Using-
go.
Yet again, the
Oh my
code of the
gosh.
mouse guard. Give me power and strength and resilience to carry on.
Carry on my wayward
2,
son.
So re-rolling 4.
Hey. Yes. Aha! Woo.
All right. She is currently held in place mostly by your recent actions and the triumphs that you have won, and the promise of a battle turtle. She is a military mind. She would rather see the queen here ordering and fighting alongside, but she understands the Mouse Guard has its own priorities, and she is still very young. She straightens, scratches underneath her veil, her chin, and says, very well. You will have your distraction. Just be prepared. Once Krotik and Morvenez are backed into a corner, they will fight like crazy. These are not stable individuals.
Understood.
Once more Rivenon is at the gate, we will begin. You should probably be in the sky by then. With luck, we'll come out of this alive. And Maravan looks up to the tower, and you can see that there are little peaks of sunlight streaming through the various entrances and holes within her tower. The sun is beginning to rise. I will need a hunter check to fly the bluebirds up into the palace.
Oh, it begins.
Okay.
I'm Hunter 3.
I'm
And then I know that I'm going to be doing the Hunter thing. So who else can check in with me here? And what's
and
our
this
obstacle?
this is to help us get from point A to point B, correct?
To get onto the top of
Yep.
the castle.
Okay. I can assist with Weather Watcher by helping you to point out updrafts.
Nice.
Of course.
Love it. 4. Thistle or Stroud?
I also have Hunter.
5.
Uh,
Co-pilot.
I'll just scout.
Okay.
Oh, Goss isn't coming, by the way.
Why not?
Staying behind. He's not a fighter, but he does give you the biggest smooch you ever get before you jump on. It's like that scene. It's like every like World War II scene where like the pilot is about to leave and the girl is like, no, I love you. Except this time it's a handsome mouse with another handsome mouse.
Okay, good.
All right. I'm going to re-roll all my failures. If ever there was a time to start using points, it's right now.
Right?
Ah, there we go.
Yeah.
6 successes.
Well, now the reason why these birds are less than enthusiastic about flying you to the very peak of the palace is because of the noise from below. You see that the attack is underway, surrounding a massive turtle. It is a sight to behold. Rubanon is literally just slowly moving into the door, barring the army from entering and crushing it, quite literally, almost instantaneously. The problem comes when she has to sort of shift her entire bulk into the corners so that all of it falls away, because you see she like ducks her head into her shell and just goes wham and cracks it open. But now she has to sort of like make sure the debris is clear so everybody can get in. And during that time, you can see from within there are pikes and arrows and other weapons being jabbed, shot, thrown into the shell and the legs that are thankfully just tough enough to bear the brunt of it as Azilis's forces are crashing into the emerging resistance. You see that this is thankfully giving you the brief moment of respite to fly up, because you see that there are many arrows flying from the various windows and balconies of the palace, some of which actually turn in your direction. And only barely is Thane able to maneuver and sort of direct your patrol into dodging the missiles. And you're able to land on a upper balcony in which you find there are no enemies. But now that you are on the brink of infiltrating the palace's interior, you have to get down to the throne room, where no doubt Krodik is warming his throne.
Mhm.
Give me a scout check to avoid running into a bad time.
Thistle? Finn?
Obstacle 6.
I've only got a 2.
I've got a 2 as well.
Okay, I have a 4, but I feel bad because I made the last roll.
I mean, we want to win, so
Okay.
Yeah.
All
you
right,
are
so
the leader.
I'll take the lead. All right, this way. Come on.
Yeah.
Uh,
I will chip in with my manipulator / deceiver by helping people figure out how to step softly on these stones, because I worked with these stones once before. I know about them. And if you step like this, you make much less sound. It's great.
I like
it. I will assist with fighter by telling you where the enemy is most likely to be posted and reminding you of the tactics that they are probably using.
I will use administrator, because I'm processing all that paperwork. I've memorized all of the layouts and figured out what is the most efficient and less, I guess, like problematic route that we could take.
Awesome. And I would like to use hidey hole wise to find all the sneaky bits to move along the way to get down there without running into peeps.
That's an excellent
Smart.
wise. Oh
I
my
know.
god.
I'm so proud.
I haven't got to use it except for
No,
once.
you took that at the beginning too. I remember that.
Yeah,
now.
I've had it forever, and I haven't got to use it yet. Yeah. All right. So that's 96.
Hot damn. Give me 6 successes, baby.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Woof.
Give it.
Okay, we're at 5. I'm going to
so
re-roll
close.
2 because I've got plenty of fate and everything right
Yeah.
now.
Load that.
6, 7. Okay, we're there.
Woo-hoo.
All right.
Most lovely. So thankfully, the attack is working as expected. Everybody is freaking out. You hear in the passages and stairways that you are basically careening down as fast as you can. There is a lot of drama going on below, and you hear several loud proclamations of soldiers that are clearly in a reverie, eager to defend their Lord Krodik and his daughter, Morvenez. You arrive in a passageway that you remember walking in when you were being presented by Maravon long ago, it seems, and where Sidwell exploited that little note of truth before the Queen and Krotik and the daughters alike. You hear voices high with stress, anger, panic, and peeking in, you see a few individuals. One, clearly Krotik. Second, Morvanez, the squirrel daughter. A few extra guards that appear to be looking at the proceedings hesitantly as Krotik slams his fist onto a nearby table, sending it crumbling beneath him with that single strike as he whirls onto Morvanez.
How could you let this happen? Why is my daughter breaking into the head of my palace, crushing it? You should have gone down there and killed her when we had the chance.
Morvanez, almost clutching his, oh, what? You put up your hand.
Yes, while this is happening, I want to look over at Stroud and go, when he's done talking, fire an arrow straight into his heart. We don't need to walk in and soliloquize with these guys.
Right?
We just need to make it happen.
Oh, yes. Morvanez almost lunges to him, clutching at his robe, and simply as in a begging tone,
by Lord, Father, please. We can still drive them back. We can bring your glory.
And that is when I imagine Stroud fires.
Uh-huh.
All right. Roll fighter.
Yeah, I'm gonna. So I have a fighter of 3. Any help with this one?
I have fighter as a skill, so I can give you instructor, and I'll be like, look, you have to wait for the right moment to strike. They're swirling around. You just have to wait for him to turn his shoulder just so. And so I'll use an instructor.
Actually, yeah, depending on how you roll, I know exactly how this is going to play
out. Oh, God. Okay. Any others?
I mean, it's a surprise attack with you. If anybody else, if another too many people help, it might give you guys away.
Yeah, okay. I also don't know that I've got anything that would be particularly useful.
Dump your nature into it.
I'm going to notice a little nick in your arrow because I'm a carpenter, and I'm going to be like, not that one.
Okay. I'm also going to use my... I could probably use my wise as well, too.
Yeah.
I'm going to use my medicine wise.
How so? What?
I'm going to use my medical knowledge to figure out the critical point to fire the arrow towards. I want this to be instant.
Now, this is just, we'll see whether or not your anatomy is mouse focused or weasel focused.
Okay.
I got 5 successes.
Okay, I got 2 persona points. I can reroll all of my failures, right?
If you wish. Yeah. If you wish, if you want to leave it as it is, we can go into a conflict. If you want to try to win, we'll see.
I'm going to win this. I'm gonna use my persona point, reroll the 3, 2, 3.
5.
I hate you.
Push.
I hate you.
But here's the thing: you can explode your 6. Explode your 6.
Explode the 6.
Explode it.
Because otherwise I'll make you an offer for players' turn checks that we haven't. God bless it. All right. Ludher Krodik turns almost disgusted at this craven creature that is clutching at his garments, and he slaps her away. And in that moment, you see perfect opportunity. He's exposed, and the disgust on his face is only focused at Morven as below him. You draw your bow back, the string taut, you release, and it soars beautifully until it strikes in that tender spot. Oh, almost dispassionately, he reacts to it in cold curiosity. And then with overdramatic like startlement, he backs into the chair where the queens of Venn have ruled from and collapses into it, clutching at his breast as red begins to blossom as the orchid, the flower denoting the grace and beauty of its rulers, hangs above. The two colors oddly well, what's the word? Oddly
Interesting.
similar.
Oh, complimenting.
And the swirl whirls and pulls a long short sword. Wait, a long short sword? What the fuck? Pulls a
longer
short sword.
Yeah.
What the fuck? A medium short sword. And lets out this horrific shrill wail and attacks you. We are going to
I
enter.
immediately interpose myself in between the group
All right.
and the squirrel.
Here's what we're going to do. We could do a conflict, but once again, I enjoy the little setup we had earlier. We're going to do this in a single volley.
I love it.
You're going to collect all of your dice into two different pools, attack and defense. I want everyone to coordinate who is doing what.
So
all of you, here's the scene. They're going to be like a team of you guys and a team of the bad guys. So Morvenez is going to be one team, and then the guards in the room are going to be another team. They're each going to have their different pools of defense and attack. I'm going to go ahead and roll their health to determine how much they're going to start with. We're going to roll disposition the same way we usually do. Okay, so that was Morvenez. Jeez. So she's going to start with 8, and her cronies are going to start with 6. All right. I'm going to hit the bathroom really quick.
Okay.
You guys formulate yourselves.
Okay, so
I was wondering if maybe we shouldn't try going entirely defense to see if we can't talk them down in the meantime.
well, we have to kill. Is Krotik's dead now? That arrow
Yeah, I
pierced
believe that's
Krotik's heart.
Seems to be the
Yeah.
case.
Yeah. Okay. Just making sure.
Squirrel is almost as crazy as the fox, from what we've heard, right?
Yeah.
Not talk downable.
Okay. I've got a fighter of 6, so I can make a roll for one of our pools.
Mhm.
But who else is a high fighter?
I've got a
Rank, I
fighter of
think.
3.
Same.
Thistle, aren't you a 5?
No, I'm just a 2 in fighter. It's my health and my natures that are high.
So why don't we do
okay.
this? Why doesn't our defense pool be me and Stroud, and our
Okay.
attack pool be Finn and Thistle,
Ooh.
and that kind of
Okay. All right.
evens things out?
Sounds good.
Well, do we get our whole numbers, or is it like?
Yeah, you're gonna get your whole numbers. Yeah.
Okay. So on the attack
So-
side, I'll add in my fearless, and
That trait's getting a lot of use.
it is. It really, really is. If I were on the defense, I'd use tough, but I am tough and fearless. So, and I don't think weather-wise really applies here. So for our attack roll, so it's 6 + 2 + 1, so 9.
9 attack dice.
9.
Jeez, that's a big pool.
9, 9, 9, 9, 9.
In that case, I'm going to use Morven as his pool to defend, while her group of fellow crazy people
We need to do
swarm around you.
our disposition first. How does that work again?
Yeah. So all of you are going to do your disposition. So since you have the highest health, Thistle, I think you should do it.
Okay.
So roll your health and then add the successes to your total health. And you'll get 3 dice with everybody helping you.
Okay. Can I throw my nature into this if I
You
spend a
can.
point?
Certainly.
Totally gonna do that. 12 dice. Loving it.
Jeez.
Sure.
Well, I've got a lot of points. I'm gonna do some exploding to 6s there.
Why are you so healthy?
I am amazing. I am a tinder paw. Oh,
But
too
7's,
bad.
I mean, 7 successes.
No, 7's pretty good. Can I use my guard wise to reroll all?
Dude, if you think you have enough points, sure.
I have enough
Can I
points.
abuse my guard wise to?
Right?
This is a more, I think, direct use.
Oh yeah,
of the,
yeah. I'm just being snarky.
How many rerolls is that? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Whoop, whoop. Nice. Total of 9 then.
9 plus 6 is 15. So that is your team's total. That is everybody. If that number goes way down, then we're going to have some difficulties.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'll roll our attack. So 5 successes.
5. They're going to roll their defense. Well, Marvinaz is. So she has 6 attack. What's that? And 18. She's tapping her nature, by the way.
Yeah, tap it. Yeah. Oh.
All right. So that is her defense. She's able to essentially either dodge or draw so much attention that your attack is going to just be rebuffed. Because you're defending, right? Oh wait, no, you're attacking. Wait, no, I'm attacking. You're defending. No, you're attacking. I'm defending. Okay.
Yes.
He told us to split our dice into 2 pools. So
That's
that was
right.
our
You're-
attack pool.
That was your attack pool.
Do you
And
not
now
have
we're
any
doing.
points there? You
So
don't
the
have
problem is so when I first made the character, I didn't really understand the wises thing.
Yeah.
So I don't have an appropriate wise to re-roll.
And you don't have a fate point to explode?
I do have a fate point to explode. I only got the 1/6 though. I think it's I think it's fine. I think we can live the turn.
Totally. Just wanted to check.
In the meantime, they are going to be attacking with 7 die.
We're defending with 7.
All right.
Yeah.
Great. Beautiful.
Pidoo.
Of course.
Suck
was
it.
just so this round of everything was just a big push.
It was really just like an assessment. Like, you all understand now that Morvenez has like quite a lot of energy, enthusiasm, and in response, you also have the means in which to defend yourselves. So let's do it once more.
Okay, now I can tap my nature for a non-mousy thing. I just lose a point, right?
Indeed.
Yes,
Yeah,
you can, certainly.
So okay, so we're gonna roll what we rolled +4.
And by the way, you guys can sort of like move your helping dice to another pool if you feel it's more necessary.
I think we set up a pretty good.
Yeah.
So this time around it's going to be 12. Oh, but I have to actually slash roll.
Yeah, you can't do it that way. That was the wrong way.
It was.
Oh my god.
Okay, and then I'm going to spend a fate. Well,
Just
I can
re-roll the
wait to
sixes.
see what she does.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now, hang on.
I think you
'cause
should re-roll the 6s.
So here's my question. Does pushing the advantage help us? Does succeeding over a certain amount?
Yes, because they still have disposition for each of them, and
Okay.
she only has 8.
So I'm going to spend the fate point then and re-roll all 4 of them 6s.
Yeah, sexy 6s.
Win it.
Now I'm up.
The two of you are locked into combat.
And you get to re-roll those 6s again.
Do I?
They
Yes.
explode.
Oh,
They
yeah.
explode. You don't need to spend a fate
Explosions.
point.
Oh.
Nah.
Oh, well.
Still.
Still good.
Right. So how many is that? 6
9.
successes? 9?
9.
Oh yeah, 9. So -3, 6. So she's at 2 disposition right now. Her group is going to attack in response. Violently so. So as Finn and Morvenez, the squirrel is big. It's a big squirrel. Essentially is using her speed to just sort of like slam the pommel of her sword down at you. And in the meantime is trying to just swoop you aside in order to get to the one who is responsible for shooting her leader.
Can I take a little narrative leeway since I had such a fantastic role? As this is happening, like I'm yelling back at Thistle. All right, so when you're fighting a squirrel, the tail goes all over the place and they try to distract you with it. You gotta watch the eyes. Wherever the eyes go, that's where the squirrel goes. Like this. Ha!
You see her eyes are like bloodshot.
And Thistle's like, I hear you, and taking their halberd and like poking from behind you, like,
Go for the eyes, boo.
Oh man. All right. And as she struggles with this lesson that you're teaching, she calls out to the fellow guards in the room and says, "The blood of the chosen of the prophet, spill them, spill their innards." And they do so in high-pitched shrieks. They're
Good
gonna
roll.
bump some fate points to reroll those 6s. They can do that too. All right. What is my defense, or rather your defense, doing?
7. I kind of want to dump my nature into it because they got as many successes as we have dice.
Right?
Probably
Yes,
a good
please.
idea.
Probably a good idea.
And because I'm defending against someone trying to hurt me, would that count as decreasing my nature? As I'm like, no, stop it! Ah, no.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's combat and you're not just like turning and running away.
Ah, okay. All right. So, do you want me to roll or do you want to roll, Stroud? Because if you want to roll instead, because I have 4 nature and 3 fight.
About the
Plus
I'm,
your
I'm
2.
the same.
Yeah.
Feel free to roll. I think you've been doing
Okay.
a pretty good job. I'll
Okay. That's 11d6. Oh, team. What's the reroll failures and what do I have to do to trigger it?
One of your wises has to relate to the roll, and you spend a fate or persona. A persona rerolls all, a fate rerolls 1.
So I have a question. This would be a very creative use of this. As this is where we live in a very organic world, is there a lot of like plant life in this room?
Oh, absolutely. This is a kingdom of flowers, definitely.
I would like to use leaf cover wise.
I knew it. I
There's a
love
lot.
it.
There's a lot of that poisonous plant, the wolfsbane or whatever we were talking about, that encircles that area.
Right?
Is it? That's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Very well.
I thought that was very creative.
It is.
It was. It was.
So it's 6 successes. But I can explode those 6s right with a persona point,
As it stands, we
Fate
only,
point.
a fate point.
we're only losing 1 disposition.
Okay, so should I not worry about that?
I would say probably just leave it.
It's not that big a deal. If you have fate points to spend, this is the time to do it.
That's also true.
Okay, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we're at the climax. I might as well, yeah. 2d6. See what I get here.
If you want a perfect
There we go.
score.
Hey,
We're here to be heroic. We're here to be heroic. We're not here to be
Right?
not heroic. We're here to be heroic.
Right, we got 1 more volley left.
Okie
Looks like-
dokie.
So here's my last ditch effort. She's gonna use another one of those. All right, this time Marvinaz is on the attack, and her guards are going to be doing the defense.
Oof. She gonna spend a fate?
I will.
Blinded me with salad.
I wanted a long stream of successes, but that's all I got.
Okay.
Oh well.
And we're defending again, right?
Yeah.
well, hang on. So we've got our attack to roll.
Okay.
No, they're attacking, so we have to defend. Then we'll attack again.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Well, it's 76. So we'll see what happens. I got nothing else to throw into this at this point.
You don't have another nature point?
Ha ha! Ha!
A push will work.
Very nice.
I gave her persona points. I tapped her nature. Squirrels aren't as tough as I thought.
Oh well.
All
Suck
right,
it,
young
squirrel.
one. It's your
And
turn now.
The
So-
defense. God bless it.
Don't forget what I told you. Go for the eyes. Directly for the eyes. Always for the eyes. Ha!
Ah,
By that I
for the
mean
eyes.
you're rolling this time.
How much am I rolling?
Well, you get my 6, and last time I tapped my nature, you should maybe tap your nature.
Yeah, I totally will.
Actually, you get my 7. Sorry.
And do you want to use a trait like long tail?
Yeah, I'm definitely using long tail because it's done me so much good so far. I've
So
got to
that's-
keep with it.
That's 10 plus if you use your nature.
Then plus my nature if I'm using my nature. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Great. This is going to be a great roll.
4 is not doing great on the dice today. And it's
Right.
all to our advantage, mostly.
It is.
double it, double it, double it, twice.
Oh yeah, I've got all these points. I'm doing it.
No.
I'm doing it. I'm spending that fate point
He's
to
already dead.
sixes. And we're gonna make them double dead. I'm spending that persona point in the wise of the guard because it's really important. It means I get to roll all of those dice again. Explode those sixes.
Wait, you re-rolled everything?
Yes. My failures and my explosion.
Well,
I'm just Super Saiyan the fuck out of this.
I'm finally becoming a mouse god in its entirety. I feel the entire power of the mouse god flowing through me. I will stab you with my halberd right through those eyes I'm supposed to be watching.
so usually at the end of 3 volleys, what happens is I would, like usual conflicts, we would come to an understanding who got the most disposition and who got the less. Well, my disposition is 0 and your disposition is full.
The same, yes, unchanged.
So you get exactly what you want out of this conflict. What
Murder
did
them.
you want out of this conflict?
To end the conflict permanently and win.
We want them all dead.
Them dead, I think.
Yeah, I think them dead is probably. We're gonna have to end up with them lying on the floor.
Them
We promised
dead,
the turtle
please.
blood.
We did. And oh, what blood she'll have. Oh, such blood.
Well, let's narrate the end of the battle. The squirrel is in absolute agony by the end of this, in anguish at the sight of her ruler bleeding to death, possibly already dead, and the last vestiges of her guard, her forces, being cut down or shot down by Stroud on this level. And below, the gate has fallen and the last stand is being made. What do you do?
All right. It's grim work, but it must be done. Make sure that each one of them is finished off. Thick. Into Crotic.
Thick into the squirrel.
Thistle's like walking around with a dagger in their tail, like slashing people up, making sure they're bleeding out all the way.
Then we remove the bodies, open
No.
the door. Oh,
Keep the
leave
bod-
them?
They want to see them, yeah.
Oh, okay. Let's go open the door. Fine work, young Tenderpaw. As I put my arm around Thistle.
Thistle actually returns the arm around you and is like, "We did a great job. We're awesome mouse guards."
Yeah.
I'm leaning over. I'm like, what color cloak are you gonna get?
My God, that's right.
We decide.
You should get a white one like me.
I don't know. I'd have to trust.
Perfect, white one it is. And I'm slapping it.
It won't stay white for long. It's gonna be red everywhere on it.
Not if you keep getting into situations like this.
Right?
Probably get a red one just to think ahead a little.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to trust Thane. I feel like they've seen my entire arc and know exactly who I am at this point.
Oh boy. And I think we can just sort of fast forward through the battle. You don't need to see the battle. It is a big battle. And the turtle does her job. She walks through literally essentially a straw hut and barrels through, and Azilis's forces charge in. Maravon takes the skies. And after maybe an hour or two of battle, Marvinez's forces are extinguished, and Krodik lies dead on the throne.
I'd like to think that we like thought ahead and had the Kestrel send a bird to pick up the queen so that at the climax of the battle, she like arrives to land on the highest tower sitting on this big bird. Like, your queen arrives!
I love that.
It would be pretty epic, but it's like a 3-day journey on ship.
Oh,
So maybe a seagull or a pelican could make that.
Okay.
wow. Stupid
Well,
reality.
No,
Turn it.
We can fast forward though. That's the magic of storytelling.
Yay!
Magic of storytelling.
Are we gonna have a Star Wars battle scene at the end?
We gotta wait for that ceremony, yo. Or that could be how we do the last scene. It's up to you guys. Where do you guys want your characters as we focus in on the no doubt important ceremony of Thistlebristle attaining the cloak?
I mean, that feels like the ending to me.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
This will get in.
Yeah, unless Stroud wants to do a last minute
smoochies.
I just remember that loop I threw to you.
Nah, I'll think of something, but we'll see how the story finish wraps up.
By the way, you and Goss, you disarm the bees.
Yes.
Because that was a big scary thing.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I figured.
Yeah. And it is there in the hive with buzzing all around and the comfort of both of you sort of finally relaxing, that Goss sort of closes the hutch, sealing the queen bee. Now that the traps that would have caused disaster are put away, he sort of says, "Oh, wait, I forgot something." And he opens it back up and pulls out what looks like a little band, a little round band, and presents it to you. And fastened into it it's a whittled band, strangely enough. And fastened into it is this ornate carving of a beautiful, beautiful honeycomb.
Oh.
And he says, "This is all I could get on a moment's notice, and I felt it should be a little bit more official than just, we're flying. Let's devote our lives together."
Oh.
It's more than perfect. Shut the fuck up. Oh my god.
It's cedar. It's nothing big. Although there are no cedar on the mainland. So
It all works out.
Listen. I left Sprucesuck to prove something. I think it was mostly to prove to myself that I could be just as good as you. Now I realize I don't have to try to impress myself anymore. I just need to wake up to you doing what you do.
I mean, you could still try to do a little better, but that's great enough. Love you.
When I'm going to adopt that child that served you poison biscuits, and you're gonna be scared every morning you wake up. the ceremony in which a Tenderpaw is promoted usually takes place during winter. But through a little bit of finagling, the matriarch has invited the queen to also oversee this particular ritual. Thistle Bristle, you approach a long hallway, at the end of which stands Gwendolyn. And Thane, you march down with, I guess, pride or utter terror.
No pride.
Both.
I think pride. Pride and terror. Yeah, pride and
Mostly
fear.
pride.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit of terror
There's
in
a little
there.
bit
To
A
the
soupçon
at the
of fear.
Oh. Now, this is also an opportunity in the wake of everything that has happened for lots of mice to join the Mouse Guard, and the ceremony has peaked with your promotion. Vaden has already become a Tenderpaw, and you see your friend. Oh my goodness. Oh, where is she? I had her written down. Where is
Eid.
your friend's name?
Eid.
Eid. Oh my god. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Eid she hasn't become a Tenderpaw, but instead has opted to stay on along with a senior artisan that she so recently had adventures with, Thane, your mentor. And they excitedly wave to you as you take your place in front of the matriarch. And Thane, what color of cloak do you present?
Oh, it's red. Yeah. It's red for passion. It's red for blood. It's red for the struggle that comes with growth. And it's red because of Thistle's heart.
Beautiful.
And a little bit of fear. But I don't say that out loud.
Thank goodness. So the queen is here as well. And she deciding that the best way to establish the trust between the two peoples is to honor you. As the cloak forms around your shoulders, and it's like, oh, this is the weight that you've worked so hard for. It's comfier than you imagine. And as it's sort of like tucked up here, Rosaria approaches and just gently pins what looks like a very shiny looking silver dahlia, and holds it tightly, and she gives you a big smile and then a hug.
Yay!
And then Gwendolyn also hugs you.
Thistle's a little bit like, what? Okay.
And then they back up and they just sort of take you in. And Finn, what do you see? What sort of mouse do you see before you?
What sort of mouse do I see?
Yeah, the Tenderpaw that you have traveled with for this season.
I see a future Thane. honestly. One that needs a lot of seasoning, one that needs a lot of time yet, but that will actively seek it. That with guidance still to go, will one day be a great and celebrated member of the Mouse Guard.
Perfect. Stroud, do you continue to patrol?
I will actually hang out my cloak. And what I'm going to do is, between Gauss and I, going to create a scholastic exchange between the mainland and Venn to ensure that knowledge is properly exchanged between the two groups and that we continue to foster academic prosperity. Bar and grill.
I love it.
I will also be hanging up my cloak to retire. And I will be
I'm not doing anything, noble. I'm out of here. I'm retiring.
Yeah, it is time. I go back and find our boat captain friend.
That's right.
And my goal will be to seek a partnership and to build transports from the mainland to Venn and back, and to begin building up a port. In my spare time, I take up fishing.
Oh,
Yay.
That's so cool. You build the harbors, become quite active with this productivity you decided to use in your retiring years. And the Vole, she certainly keeps you busy. Thane, you continue with your new patrol mouse.
Yeah. Patrols
And
continue.
Patrols continue.
Until morale improves.
And Vaden has upgraded from just standing in front of the jail, where your old enemy Charles sits there for a very long time.
Oh.
Yes, thank goodness.
Oh.
The bees of Venn are no longer a dire calamity waiting to explode onto the coastal cities. Instead, bee queens are shuttled along the coastline, and in time, they begin to dot the various towns that are finally beginning to recover from the bear threat that wove its way across the landscape of the mouse territories. And soon, towns like Appleloft and Pebblebrook and Ivydale, Copperwood, Blackrock, they all receive queens of their own. And with the knowledge accumulated, then it begins to spread its, maybe not its religion, but its idealism, its acceptance and integration of other species into the mainland. And soon enough, you see ferrets, voles, and other animals that at first would be looked down upon or very suspicious of. And the Mouse Guard, for the first time, begins to consider who, in fact, has the right to join. And Finn, the ferret that once kept Skexol company, leaves with regret in her heart for what she did to you.
Oh,
when she betrayed you all to Sidwell.
Oh, poor baby.
but forgiveness and wisdom.
Moira arrives at the gates of Lockhaven, remembering that sensation and knowing the growth that Thistle Bristle made, how she went from a very abrasive young and brave browed mouse, and wonders if she too can go through that transformation. And that is where we'll leave it.
Ooh.
I love it. It's so cute.
Yay! Complete
That is how
story.
the Queens of Venn are end. Oh, by the way, the daughters don't become daughters again. They just become heads of state, essentially.
Yeah.
Sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very good.
Can't believe I forgot that part.
It's okay.
No, that's Mouse Guard Queens of Venn. I'm very proud. Wow, we did it.
We did it!
Yay! It was so good.
Uh,
Oh, that was so fun.
it's kind of cool at the end because it seems like both kingdoms adopted the best facets of each other.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That was the hopeful end goal.
Not
So
going
good.
mouse supremacist all over them. Yeah. Yeah. Let's do outros and close this thing down. Stroud, you want to go first? Neuro?
Sure. I am Neuro Fourier, also as known as Stroud. You guys can find me on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram on the same handle. I typically stream variety, and I do a lot of STEM discussions during my streams in general. This has been an amazing journey. It is was my, like I said, it's been my first RPG. So thank you guys, every single one of you, because I learned so much from you guys. And trust me, I've been observing every single one of you play. So thank you again for this opportunity. It's been an amazing journey. So I will hopefully see you guys on the
Yay.
other side.
I hope so. Zed.
Oh man. Hi, I'm Zed, or ZX, ZEDECXZ on Twitter. I am actually not running anything this season on Welcome Party. I've chosen to take some time to myself, and also work on super special secret projects
Yar.
for Welcome Party that will become more clear later on.
Yar.
Yarp. Otherwise, this was fantastic. This was exactly what I was hoping it would be. When Throck told me, hey, there's a mouse guard game, I said, and then, proceeded to poke at him to help me join up, which he had already done. So I was like, let me in, get me into that game. And he was like, we're cool. We're there. So this was great. This was excellent. I had not gotten to role play or play any game really, I think, with for Connie or Nero, and all three of you aces. This was great. So
Ooh.
thank you very much.
Hey, I'm Sean, also known as Throck. You can find me on the interwebs at Throck. What?
Oh, shit, I'm sorry. Connie also did my awesome character art, which is an overlay thingy, and is like, I don't make a lot of art purchases, but I did that one, and Connie was excellent and awesome, and I love my little mousy. So
Yay.
Oh, little mousy.
anyway,
Hi.
thank you. Sorry.
I'm Sean, also known as Throck. You can find me on the internet at Throck Plays. I am the co-founder here. Welcome to the party, and I had a great time. I'm so glad I got to play in this. I've never got to play a full Mouse Guard campaign before, and it's based on one of my favorite systems, and it had one of my favorite storytellers, and it was great fun, and I'm very happy to have been here and had feels and be the kind of erstwhile half adult in the group, which was a lot of fun. And because I don't get to play a lot, And so it's fun for me when I get to play. And so this has been a very much highlight of my gaming week, and I am sad to see it go. Although there are new things coming, and that'll be fun too. That's me, Connie.
Hi, I'm Connie. Oh yeah, and I am just so happy about this whole thing. The first time I read Mouse Guard, I was like, I want to play this as a game. I found out there was a game, and I was like, I have to play this role playing game. And then this came up, and I was like, finally, I get to play Mouse Guard. And it's exactly what I wanted. It was adorable and cute, but heavy. And I got to play this amazing character that is unlike any character I've ever played before. And I'm so grateful for my other mouse guard that helped Thistle Bristle do exactly what I wanted. Became less of a prickly asshole and more of a strong and determined team member. So thank you. You were all perfect.
You're perfect. Shut up.
Hey!
Shut up. And last but not least, our fearless leader, 4.
Hi. It is me, 4. Mouse Guard is probably my favorite role-playing game, but I've played the heck out of it. My gosh, I've thankfully had many campaigns come to a conclusion like this that is just hopeful and beautiful, and we murdered a horrible person at the end of it. I just like Mouse Guard is such a wonderful setting that has so many stories that you can tell within it, and it's also one of the role-playing games that I feel makes a perfect introduction to this lovely hobby of ours. And I'm just overexcited about the opportunities it presents, but I'm also looking forward to all the other stories I'll be telling that for once are not within Mouse Guard. I'll be releasing 4 minutes sometime this year. I don't know when, but it's ready. I just need to give you guys like a good idea on how to play it and what it's played for. It's sort of like it's a role-playing game in which you only use D4s and tell Twilight Zone-esque stories in 4 arcs known as minutes. It'll be a lovely time, and I'm looking very forward to playtesting. I'll be doing various other things. You can find me at Twitter on the Forefronts and Twitch on the Forefront, and I'll be dungeon mastering and all sorts of other things in the future. But, you know, I'm just ecstatic to be here and ecstatic to have played Mouse Guard to a finale once again. Thank you guys for this opportunity.
Yay! All right, and with that, we're going to say thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Thank you so much to our sponsors, Tabletop Loot, Roll20.net, where you can go and get amazing free roll top. My brain stopped working because it's dinner time and I haven't eaten for 7 hours. Roll20, we're free online stuff where you play games. And So Nerdware, where you can go and get amazing merch at sonerdware.com, because So Nerdware, it's what the nerds wear.
Oh, wait, hang on.
What? Hey,
Hang on.
what?
I,
Hey, what?
I have
Hey,
an
what?
example of one of So Nerdware's excellent
What?
product. You see, they sell stickers.
Ooh, stickers. And there are many welcome to the party stickers on there. It is pretty great. Okay. So we love you, and because
wait.
Oh my God.
Mistress of Maps.
Oh, and of course, the amazing Devin Rue, Mistress of Maps, who has been an art supporter of ours since the very beginning, and we love her madly. And with that, we're not rating anyone because we recorded this. We'll just wave and say adieu.
Do.
Bye.
Bye.